How is everybody doing? This is Sit Down with Sniper. This is going to be episode 1. I'm actually here with my guy Pete. He graced me and was going to jump on my first episode. Um so if nobody knows, I've actually met Pete through the Doodles and through Cool Cat. Me and him actually did a trade where we traded some Doodles for a Cool Cat, and he got me my second Cool Cat. So big shout out to him for that. Is there anything you want to let the people know about yourself before we hop into some questions?
No, hey Sniper, thanks for having me. I've been in the NFT space a little bit here, and like he's mentioned, we met through Cool Cats and Doodles, two great communities. So happy to be here today.
And we appreciate it. And I mean, that's what we're honestly going to talk about first, man. Doodles has been having this bull run like crazy. I know when they first dropped, people were a little skeptical about the whitelist, but I think people saw past that pretty quick. And they were sitting at one, maybe a little bit under one ETH for a while, and now they're at like what 3.3 or something like that. It's been wild.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's been kind of nuts, and seeing this price action so early on for a project is definitely different. But I think the environment for NFTs has changed quite a bit since like the Cool Cat days and the Bored Ape starts. Just really, it's there's been so much growth in users. So floors tend to move quite faster now. So really interesting to see with that project, and obviously very exciting in the short term right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm looking at the doodles right now on OpenSea, and they're at like 3.7. So it's wild to see. And
Wow.
I think someone said earlier, don't want to say anything incorrect, but looking through the doodles Discord, seems like there was a lot of action today. I know there was a big sale. I saw someone sold a golden ape for about 80 ETH. That's a huge sale. And I've been seeing
Absolutely.
a lot of doodles go above floor too. So that's been interesting to see.
Yeah, a lot of activity. There's a couple of big names out there investing now too. Go West BTC bought a bunch of doodles today, including a couple of rare doodles here and there. But really cool sustainable growth right now, at least for like the past few days. So interesting to see where this goes and if there's gonna be any correction anytime soon.
Are they the ones that did the 200 ETH buy for the doodles? I think I seen either them or Pranksy did something like that today.
Yeah, not entirely sure on that, but I know they had a lot of big buys and a lot of big names getting involved. So very exciting.
I mean, not only doodles. I mean, we gotta also mention the cool cats. I think that's two.
Yeah.
That's one community that I mean we both come from. They've been doing they've been doing pretty good. I know they have a town hall today, which will be coming around I think 5 our time. So I'm really interested to see what that's going to be about today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Cool Cat's another amazing project. I think they have just so much future potential as well too. So exciting to see where that goes. It's been a little bit more quiet on the short-term selling side of it, with the floor not moving necessarily as fast. But again, these are higher priced assets, so it's going to take a little bit longer for the floor to swing or do any crazy swings. But I think they have a very bright future for the Cool Cats. So excited about that community, and very interested to see where they'll take off too.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, are you looking forward to anything? I know we got the milk, we got the gold coming, we got the cool pets coming. I mean, we just had the airdrop for I believe the people who did the carving for the pumpkins.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much coming down the pipe for Cool Cats, and I think probably the most slept on thing I'm the most excited about is Paper Cats, and
Oh yeah.
particularly because that's going to introduce so many new people to the ecosystem, right? So like you've got moderately expensive assets with the Cool Cats, and probably the pets will be expensive too. But we can open the door to so many more people through Cool Cats, and more people ultimately generates more demand for the Cool Cats ecosystem. So I think there's a huge future for Cool Cats. We're hopefully going to onboard a lot more people in kind of like a family-friendly, happy, easy way to NFTs. And once you're onboarded through Cool Cats, you're going to hopefully stick around, and that'll build up the ecosystem pretty good. So very excited about the future of Cool Cats.
Yeah, man. I mean, Cool Cats is where I started, so I'm super biased, super bullish on the Cool Cats. But no, it's been a great run for them. you go in the server, it's super loving. The whole team is there 24/7. I mean, I feel like it's one of the few servers where, I mean, yeah, you have Tom, Link, Evan, and Klon, and they're super busy, but almost any time you can go in there, one of them will respond, if they're not slammed with work. And it's just super cool to see the people that have built this big project still interacting with everyone. They don't think that they're too above anyone else. And Tom, he's always on Twitter trying to help out other devs. And like you said, the Paper Cats is going to be not only revolutionary for the buyer side, but I believe Tom said for like the developer side as well, to help people understand, let's say, the rarity factor or the supply and demand. So I mean, it's pretty good, man. I love it over there, man. I couldn't be any happier.
Yeah, absolutely. The team is just it's so different. Fundamentally, they have a different perspective than most NFT projects, and it's clear that they're out for the interest of the holders. And even if some of the updates and developments take longer than other projects, if anything, that should show you that they're willing to put more time in to help us rather than kind of get in, get out mentality, which I think is, obviously really good for the long term, and something that you want to be involved with in an NFT project.
100%, 100%. And that actually, like, one makes me want to talk about the next topic would be, what are your thoughts really on like the rugs and the scams? Not nobody particularly, just how it's evolved. Because for me personally, I started back, I would say, really in Discord servers in July. And I mean, maybe it was just me or I wasn't in a bunch of servers, but I didn't see as many people scamming servers. I didn't see as many rugs happening. Did you maybe? Like, what were your thoughts on the rugs now?
Yeah, so it's a really interesting thing that's been developing, and I think as we see more and more users onboarded to NFTs, you're going to expect that to kind of grow exponentially with it as well, especially since there's such a monetary incentive for a scammer right now. But I think that's with any innovative technology, right? So like I think the first wave of the internet, there was a lot of scams getting pushed through. Like on eBay, you could try to buy an Xbox, they send you a box of rocks, right? So like scams will evolve over time. I think right now it's just a huge focus because the monetary implications tend to be really large, because they can access your wallet, they can get all of your assets. But I think that's primarily why it's growing over time, and I think that's something that Web 2 platforms like Discord, and other online websites are going to have to learn to live with and build around it. So hopefully there'll be some more checks and balances going forward, so that new users and stuff don't get scammed. And I think kind of the whole space will evolve with it.
I agree. Let me turn that phone off. I agree 100%. It's been something, because I've been on Twitter and I'll see at least, I feel like almost once a day now, someone will either get their wallet drained, or it'll be in a server and all of a sudden it just goes to complete zero, or someone running a token and it's not what it claims to be. So for a lot of people listening, if you are listening, please do your own research. I mean, you can always listen to friends. I mean, friends can help you out, but at the end of the day, you got to go look, because I've seen too many people fall victim to it, of them just believing what the next person says, or even believing an influencer who, I mean, just because someone has hundreds of thousands of followers or might have a lot of money does not mean that they're in it for the right reasons. I can't stress that enough. But it is what it is. I think, like you said, it's always going to evolve. It's going to become more and more as the money piles into this. We'll see more people trying to scam. I mean, that's funny, because one of the topics that I had was, it's called the NFT base site. Now, I don't know if you've heard about this or if anybody's been doing research on this, but there's an Australian artist, and I guess he's a programmer, but he goes by the name Jeffrey Huntley. And he created this thing called the NFT Bay. And basically what it is, it's a new torrent site. And I'm not condoning anyone to use this. I just thought it was wild that someone made a site where anyone can download 15 terabytes of JPEGs from one single source. Like, that's so wild to me.
Yeah, that's nuts. And is it kind of like an anti-NFT play? Is that ultimately what the goal of that website is?
Yeah, I think it's more or less for the people with the mindset of the right click save. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I can just have, but that's what I was trying to tell people. Like when it comes to the right click save thing, like, okay, if you really want to own that picture, like I guess it's one thing, but the whole point of it is if you right click save my cool cat, you're not in the community,
Mhm.
you're not going to these meetups, you can't even sell it. So
Yeah.
I never really understood the mindset. I do get what people mean by it. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, if you're out here just buying it for the art, you can find cheap stuff. You can go on Solana, you can go on Ethereum and find things that aren't $30,000, $40,000. But I mean,
Yeah,
I get it.
and I think the mindset, they're just still stuck in the Web 2 mindset, right? So like Web
Yeah.
1 was originally just reading. Like you can go on, you can read a magazine. Web 2 became read and write. But Web 3 is really now read, write, and ownership. Ownership's that third key that really changes the game for Web 3. And that those people still don't kind of grasp the aspect of ownership and digital ownership. And that just kind of honestly, websites like this that pop up just remind me how early we are because not everybody still has that full grasp on it yet.
There's so many people that don't like that's what I try to like break my friends into that mindset. I'm like, this picture of this cool cat, because I have stickers and I usually have it on my phone, and a lot of people end up asking me like, hey, what is that? And I try to tell my friends, like, at the end of the day, like, it's not me, but like I can use this as representation for me, and that's kind of like what I do use it for. People know me as my profile picture and stuff like that. But like I was telling my friends, even in New York, whenever they were putting the cats on the billboard, like people were really proud and really took pride in that because that's them. They can say they own that and it is in New York. Like it's a cool thing. And I think once people realize like, hey, you have ownership of this picture, it's much more than a picture. Even with Cool Cats, with the games, the tokens, anything. I think people will really start to see the Web3 is revolutionary. Because I mean, even in Kentucky, where I'm at, I've only met one person in the Cool Cats, and me and him have talked about it numerous times. We've never met anybody in this state that knows what a Cool Cat is. That I have a couple friends that know what an NFT are, but they've never bought one. So I think we're super early in that aspect, man. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
absolutely, and I think it's a paradigm shift that needs to happen. And a lot of people like we grew up in a copy paste environment, right? You could copy a picture, send it to anybody. You can save an
Yep.
Excel doc or whatever you need to do, save it off in multiple copies, and that's kind of the environment that we've developed around the internet right now. But that's not entirely what blockchain is about. So anybody that kind of still gets stuck in the whole right click save thought process just isn't quite doesn't fully understand what Web3 has in the future. So, very interesting.
When did you get started with NFTs? Did you just recently jump in, or were you into like crypto before NFTs?
Yeah, so I've always liked finance and I've liked investing in alternative finance as well. So mainly my doorway was through crypto, but I didn't enter the NFT space till very recently. I'd say like most of the people in Cool Cats a little bit more recently. So I think the thing that really changed it for me was I was listening to a Bankless episode on mimetic desire. And the concept that humans are imitative creatures and we want to mimic the desires of others is really when it clicked for me and I knew that NFTs were going to be the next big thing, right? So like if you see a celebrity that you've looked up to forever change their profile picture to an NFT, you're instantly like at a subconscious level you're already going to want to invest in NFTs, whether it be that project specifically or you might want to start learning about NFTs in general because this person you looked up to, just bought one, they're using it as a profile picture and now you kind of want to take part of it. It's kind of like too. So that's really what got me interested. interested in
probably go start
NFTs, and
looking
that's
at
when
lazy
I
lines and be like, okay, let me at least, give these a look. So
right? Yeah, and I think yeah, it's so deeply ingrained in our human nature for that to happen. I think ultimately everyone will migrate to NFTs, in some sort of aspect, whether it be a profile picture or you have, your own digital wallet that has, a gallery in it or something like that. So that's what got me very interested in NFTs, and I think there's just so much more growth to happen, especially since we're still having the right click save argument.
and you talk about these celebrities, that brings a good point to just recently. I'm sure you've seen, because it was a big thing. We got people like Jimmy Fallon, who was it? Post Malone, who, excuse me, just recently put Bored Ape Yacht Club. I believe he put two of them in his music video with The Weeknd. That was like huge, man. I don't know. I'm not saying BAYC endorsed that or paid for it, asked him, but that is cool. I don't care. I don't own BAYC. I'm not biased. I thought that was the coolest thing ever, especially if he did it on his own being. He was just like, yo, like, I'm gonna put this in the music video. I think people would like it. Even if they paid him, it's still a cool thing to see. I don't care. I thought it was super amazing. Did you did
Yeah,
you happen to see it or see the news about that?
yeah, absolutely. I thought that was great, and I think for an artist like Post Malone too and Jimmy Fallon, typically those guys are really well liked amongst
Yeah.
their communities. I think I don't know of anyone that like dislikes Jimmy Fallon. So I
And
think
same with
that
Post Malone.
yeah, right. So I think those two were such big buys, and it just ignites that FOMO inside of us or that interest to learn about these projects or NFTs. And I can only see it continuing to compound over time too. So I think that project's going to do phenomenal. I don't have one personally, but I think it's going to do amazing in the future. And once one rapper joins, then the other rappers that like Post Malone are going to want to get one too. And entertainers that enjoy Jimmy Fallon are going to want to get one. So it's going to be really cool to watch that project. And just kind of watch it get away from us too as it gets more and more expensive.
Yeah, because I definitely don't have any BAYC. I've even said from the beginning, I wasn't a huge fan of the BAYC art. And I have to stand by that because I've said it from day one. But I've always admitted that it seems like their community is something of like, I'm gonna say, of a Cool Cats level. I know that BAYC might have been around first, but I've never been in there, and the only thing I have to compare it to is Cool Cats. So I'm gonna say it is Cool Cat-ish with how people really hang together. I mean, there for the longest when I first started, I was seeing ape follow ape. It just seems like everyone in there really like holds it down for each other, and I think that's awesome. And it really shows, communities are what really drives some of these projects, because BAYC is, anyone that I've ever met that has an ape is super proud of their ape, and they should be. They 100% should be. My buddy Franklin has like 31 apes. He's proud of every single one of them, and he should be. But yeah, Von Miller, Lil Baby, Jimmy Fallon, Post Malone, they're really getting big with the names, man. It's good to see not only their community, but for NFTs as a whole, to bring in names like that rather. And I like that Jimmy Fallon has really been tweeting about it. Von Miller was really active with his ape for a while, and Josh Hart, he's been pretty active in the community. Regardless what people think about him, he has been active. And now we have a soccer player, Daniel Got Hits. He's been pretty active with the BAYC community. So yeah, man, it'll be cool to see where they go as far as the future.
Yeah,
The new Cool
absolutely.
Cats.
And I think as you add more and more celebrities too, that effect just it continues to grow. So like the community will get stronger and stronger and stronger. And you'll have BAYC events where, like Post Malone's performing and it's only them that can go to this event, right? So the value
Yeah.
just keeps growing and growing and growing. And I just think it's really cool. And I think that's one of the fun things about NFT projects, right? It could be any project you're involved with can start growing like that. And we finally get a chance to enter in at the ground floor, right? You don't have to be an investor, you don't have to be a venture capitalist to invest in these smaller projects, but you can reap the benefits that they will provide.
It's funny that you said that, because not only do I feel like Post Malone would be the kind of guy to hold a concert for like BAYC holders or whatever NFT he also owns. But the NFL kind of did the same thing with that. People were tweeting about it. I read about it online last night, where some qualifying games you can go to the game and then you can kind of claim, kind of like a Pope system, but you can claim your a ticket to show, I guess, validation that you were at the game. But there will also be a platform, I guess, where you can buy and sell these tickets. I know a good example was like the Thanksgiving game. If you go to that game in person, then you can claim a ticket showing that you would be there. The only negative thing that I really would have to say about that, from what I was reading, is it would be on the Polygon network.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think it's interesting, but I think it'll be it'll be a flex regardless too. I think Polygon's nice because it's cheap and free, or like low gas fees and stuff like that. I think it's a good alternative sidechain. It's just unfortunate that it's just full of scams right now. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, I think having an NFT is really cool, especially some popes. Especially, like, imagine if you go to a game and just like it becomes the best game of all time, or everyone's talking about it. You now have a pope to like prove you were there, right? That's just so cool.
no, that would be neat. And I think they're going, from what I read on there, they're going to try to do something with Dapper and Top Shot to possibly do something in the same realm where they do like a NFL highlight. Now, nobody quote me on that, but just from what I was reading, they kind of want to do their own highlight for football, kind of like how basketball was doing with NBA. So if they did that, I think it would be really neat, especially if you went to a game and say you saw Tom Brady throw a touchdown and you could get the moments from that game. I always thought that would be so cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think if you zoom out too, like what that means for the broader NFT marketplace is it's just going to introduce even more people into the space. I think Top Shot was amazing for that. It got a lot of NBA fans into the NFT space where it's not necessarily you have to be a crypto native person or you have to be, learning about blockchain every day. You can be an NFL fan and still get into NFTs. I think it's the gateway for most people to come onto blockchain, come onto Ethereum. So I think that's just very bullish for the future of NFTs and Ethereum.
100%, I agree with that. And whenever it comes to those little, like how Top Shot did the basketball and how NFL potentially wants to do their highlights, that makes me want to talk about Quentin Tarantino. So he had said, I think a week or two back, that he was going to be doing exclusive scenes from his old movie Pulp Fiction, and that basically there was going to be, I think, a collection of seven uncut pieces, and the goal was to auction them off. And once he auctioned them, they were going to be secret NFTs, meaning like the content would be hidden only for the owner. Well, he came out and said that a lot of people were happy with it. And then I think this week, the Hollywood studio Miramax decided they were going to come through and file a lawsuit accusing him of like copyright infringement and what else was it? It was like trademark infringement and unfair competition. So it's going to be interesting to see like how Miramax could step in and stop Tarantino, or potentially stop Tarantino. I'm wondering if maybe an NFL player can come in and be like, hey, I don't want that played. Like, for example, let's say in NBA, someone gets crossed over and someone crosses me, I fall, and I end up on someone's Top Shot highlight. Could I then step in and be like, hey, I kind of don't want that one played? If you put that out as a Top Shot moment, could they sue? Like, I'm wondering what's going to start going into further, because Tarantino did make the movie, but yet, I mean, Miramax gets to come in and say, nah, you can't do this. So now it's totally scratched.
Yeah, I think the whole concept is really interesting. It's gonna be something to follow, for years to come, because blockchains are inherently censorship resistant, right? So they shouldn't be able to, shut down a project or stop a project from happening. I think since there was a single point of failure in Tarantino, so they could go directly to somebody to sue. I think that's where it fell short. But if you look at the CryptoFunks project, the decentralized project that is as genuinely a copy of the CryptoPunks, but it's still sustained because blockchains are censorship resistant, right? So they might have got kicked off on OpenSea, they might have got kicked off of Rarible, but they were able to build their own front end that's not hosted by a central party, and just allow this project to flourish, even though they had been kind of sued. But there's no way to stop this project because it's on a blockchain. So it'll be interesting to see how this one evolves. I think because there's a single point, or a person that you can kind of point to sue, that's where the issue comes. But let's say he gathered a group of people to try to start this project or something like that. They're all anonymous. They do it on the blockchain. I don't see why it can't still be an NFT, and he still can't, benefit financially from it as long as it's anonymous. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
I think Tarantino needs to hire you, Pete, because it seems.
Yeah.
But no, I did hear you mention like Funks. What's your thoughts on like these projects who, I mean, whenever I first started, anybody who had a successful project, it seemed like the next day there was a fast food version or a baby version or a flipped version or a pixel version. Like, I mean, that was like the thing, and I still see it here and there, like the babies this or the fast food this. But what was your whole thought on that craze, man? That was a wow.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think the direct copycats and everything, like, it depends on how the narrative plays out. So I think with CryptoFunks, it was slightly different than, a traditional copycat. These guys were coming, they had kind of, I don't know, an interesting story behind it where they kept getting delisted. They were trying to get on it. They were, this copycat project, but they were the ones singled out by OpenSea, right? So there's so many copycat projects, and how come only this one kicked out of it and kept getting sued and getting delisted? So, and then like because of that, because they were singled out, they kind of developed this community around blockchain against censorship resistance. How can we do this around the middlemen? Which is pretty much everything that a blockchain stands for, and all that crypto stands for is, this is censorship resistance. We're here. We're not going to let, a single entity kind of shut it down. So I think that project's interesting just because of the narrative, not necessarily because of the art or anything like that, but the community and the narrative around it is very interesting. But I think that's partially why some of the other copycat projects won't do well, because, they're literally there as cash grabs, as whereas CryptoFunks is trying to stand for a different approach. So a lot of stuff out there that tends to be copycats, and I don't particularly want to get involved, but it's all about the narrative sometimes.
Yeah, these copycats and these. There's been so many times where I've been in a project and I've been like, oh man, this is not me. Or the project where uh I'll get on their Twitter, they'll have 40,000 followers, but somehow only managed to get like 5 retweets, and I'm like, oh man, this is an awful look. So yeah, it's been a here recently for me. I honestly can say I haven't bought anything since probably around that whole Deadfellas Halloween ordeal. Whenever they had the party in Decentraland, which by the way was amazing. Big shout out to Deadfellas. They've been doing really good since they've pushed off. I remember a lot of people were scared that it was kind of like, yo, these are Halloween-ish based. But once they pushed that new roadmap, I think actually the day of Halloween, had the Decentraland party, had the different collaborations with Ghost, Cool Cats, all these great servers, and then Steve Aoki held a concert. It really showed people that I think Deadfellas is really here for the long haul. Um, I think it's too early to call most of these things blue chips because anything can happen. But as far as Doodles, Cool Cats, Deadfellas, I do think that they're here for the long run with us. I'll say that the long run with us. They've been doing fairly well.
Yeah, and I think it kind of shows you that it's not necessarily 100% about the style or about the art. It's about the community, it's about the
Mhm.
team. And when you can build a strong community, really it's endless, right? Because like if you think about even some of the tokens, they have such a strong following. That doesn't come with, a picture, but they still have this huge community. And because of that large and strong community, they might flourish. So I think there's so many different things that go into a successful NFT project, and I agree with you. I think there's bright futures for all those projects.
Yeah, when it comes to the what goes into it, I've learned that like we said earlier, community is the biggest thing because I've personally seen art with that I think is really good until I get in the server. I'm not saying everywhere has to be child friendly. Cool Cats does a great job of being friendly for all ages. They don't allow cussing. But whenever I hop in a server and it's just like constant like spamming a floor or even other things like just total negativity, just people being provocative, no real moderation. Those things I can tell because then I start immediately thinking like let me think of it from an investor standpoint. What person would want to bring their company in here or show their company this server and be like, okay, this is what we're investing in. And the whole time they're reading it, it's just nothing but negative or just nothing but the next person downing the next one. And that's why I feel like I've even showed my mom Cool Cat several times and she loves it. Like she has a sticker of my Cool Cat on her car. So, I mean, it's just little cool things like that, being able to share. I love it, man. But,
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that goes with the sustainability factor too, right? If you don't like
oh, yeah.
being in the Discord, then are you going to stay? Like probably not. So even if you can get quick profits and stuff, it won't be sustainable.
And these aren't projects that pulled, I know for the last, I'd say 2 months. 1 month there for a bit, there for a while, it was pixel art. And then I would say majority of last month, even coming into this month, um, the word DAO was thrown around so much that you could basically put that on your name or put that on a project and it was like an automatic point 2 point 3 project straight out the gate. And I thought that was the most, even my friends in real life would be asking me about these projects and I'm just like, man, you that's not what you think it is. In a month won't be around all these DAOs that were popping up. Like, don't get me wrong, the ones that are around, like I love Pixel Vault. The people that are actually trying. I remember the Ghost server did a DAO, and they were in an auction, and they really tried stuff like that. I think that's super awesome. But just putting DAO at the end of your name or the end of your project just to get some sales, and then either leave or maybe forget about the project. That was a big thing and that people need to watch out for still to this day because I mean, when it comes to these tokens, it's not as easy as everybody tries to make them out to be. It's not going to be like, I believe, who has bananas? Kongs?
Yep.
Yeah, Kongs has bananas and people would like to use it for passive or whatever, but I mean, they built a good community around that. I mean, not everybody can just pop out of nowhere and make a token worth 50 to 100 bucks.
Yeah,
And I think that's Cool Cats has a good chance,
yeah, definitely. I
you know?
think I think that's a good point you make with the whole DAO, adding DAO to the name. It reminds me of like the early of the internet, right? People would
Yeah.
start adding .com to the end of their company name, and then they were instantly like investors would just throw money at them. So it feels like that, but I think there's a lot of promise with DAOs and decentralized organizations running NFT projects. So I think that's gonna be something really cool. And I'm not surprised that a lot of people are kind of jumping on the hype now, but you got to try to walk through all that noise and figure out what's the real project.
Percent. And I do want to say though, before we exit out of here for the day, man, and wrap everything up, is there any people that you wanted to mention or that you've been watching recently, and is there any projects that are on your radar or that you are just thankful for being a part of?
Yeah, I definitely want to give a shout out to the Cool Cats community. That was my first project, and I think I'll be a Cool Cat holder for my life. So huge shout out to that team, and I'm gonna keep looking at them, jumping in the Discord, and just following that project throughout all the waves it has. I'm just so bullish on that project. I think there's so much good stuff coming down the pipe. So just I love the project and want to shout out to all my cool cats out there.
Oh yeah, man. I love that, man. And that same with me, man. I've been in there and seeing what they have. I'm actually excited for this town hall in a couple hours. So, I mean, this will probably air Monday, so I'm sure we'll be knowing what was said by then. But Pete, I really appreciate you coming on here for the first episode. Um, I was a little nervous, I can't lie, but you helped me out with everything, man. It's a beautiful thing seeing you in Cool Cats, seeing you in Doodles, and once again, thank you for my second Cool Cat, man. Without you, we wouldn't have made it possible, bro. So thank you for everything, and thank you for coming on here today, man.
Anytime, Sniper. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, no problem. And for everybody else, what I'm actually going to be doing here soon, I'll probably be doing these episodes once a week. I'll try to record early on in the week and then try to air, like this one will air on Monday. So hopefully, if I can continue the same exact schedule, we'll do it early in the week, the air time, and then record later in the week. Keep on doing that. Only once a week for now. Hopefully, we can maybe move to 2 times a week, depending on how busy it gets. But with the holidays and stuff coming up, we'll just have to see how that goes. But everybody that tuned in or that listened today, I greatly appreciate it. And again, thanks to Pete. And I cannot wait to see you guys on week 2. Y'all take care, man.